There's two big takeaways right away that I garnered from not just looking at the cleric, but also looking back at the experts as well. One is it looks like so far everyone's going to get their subclass at the same time, and they're also going to get their subclass at the same, features at the same levels. Now, we haven't seen all the classes, so we don't know if they're going to stick to that or not, but if they do, it could be very important for something Wizards of the Coast has already tried in 5e and decided it wasn't going to work.
Prestige classes?
Prestige classes.
I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
And I'm Nerdarchy Dave.
Welcome to Nerdarchy.
For nerds, by nerds.
All right, looks like we're back to talking about some 1 D&D. Where are we starting off with?
Yeah, we got another 1 D&D drop, conveniently during PAX Unplugged. Curse you, Wizards of the Coast. So we're finally getting around to talking about it, and we're going to look at what they're doing with the cleric. They only gave us cleric this time. For the priests, when they did the experts, we got 3 classes, but this time we only get cleric.
Which is a little weird, and I know this is probably going to come up later in the document, but we also have learned of that the priestly magic or divine magic is actually linked to only 2 classes now.
The cleric and the paladin, so it's just those 2.
Yeah, so we'll at some point in time in the future get access to primal magic, which the druid and the ranger are now lumped into that category.
Which, I mean, for those of you that are keeping score, primal magic and the primal power path was from 4th edition. Are you angry, Ted?
I'm not angry in any way, shape, or form. Primal is a path of magic and shadow of the demon lord, which is another game that we have played and checked out. So it's amusing to see these kind of changes and where things kind of come and go. I don't really care.
So I think the biggest thing is so we get the cleric class, and we get one subclass. There's 2 big takeaways right away that I garnered from not just looking at the cleric, but also looking back at the experts as well. One is it looks like so far everyone's going to get their subclass at the same time, and they're also going to get their subclass at the same, features at the same levels. Now, we haven't seen all the classes, so we don't know if they're going to stick to that or not, but if they do, it could be very important for something Wizards of the Coast has already tried in 5e and decided it wasn't going to work.
Prestige classes?
Prestige classes.
Yeah, I was curious about that as well when I looked at it. Having played a cleric as my first 5th edition character was one of those things where it was cool that you got things right off the bat. With your subclass, and if things all shift to that 3, 6, 10, 14, that could be very interesting and mechanically very useful, because then you only have to balance things against the one level opposed to this one gets it at 17th and this one's getting it at 13th, and that becomes a headache when designing all of that stuff.
A complete beautiful disaster, right? From a design standpoint.
Right.
Now, the other really important thing is you no longer get your domain, your subclass at first level, which, all of the classes that get it earlier than all of the other ones, one of the problems is it makes those classes very cherry pickable, right? Just dipping your toe in the cleric to get whatever you get at first level. And some of those abilities are really good, and they don't really rely on your cleric levels, so you get it, you leave. Sorcerer's the same way, wizard at 2nd level. So, I think it's actually a good idea that everybody gets their subclass at the same time. Make it all 3rd level or make it all 1st level.
I would agree. And I do feel that the immediate argument of, I feel that, getting access to that subclass at 1st level really gives you the ability to strengthen, what it is that you do as that type of cleric. And they found a way to give you something at 1st level that helps shape what your character is.
So Holy Order, getting that at 1st level lets you kind of tell your character a little bit. And at some point you're going to get, there's three choices thus far. And at some point you're going to get one of the other. So there's only one of them you're ever going to not get. I hope they do a bunch more so that you can really differentiate your cleric from somebody else's cleric. I do like, it's a further level of customization that, I would like to see in a lot of the other classes too, because it diversifies, everyone's class from everyone else's.
A fighter has a fighting style. A cleric now has a holy order. There's other things that you can put in there that become, far more customizable pieces that you can then play with and, move around and have fun with.
Yeah, holy order is worth talking about a little bit more because it's new. One of the things is heavy armor and martial weapon training. The other is a cantrip, and the final one is you get a couple more skills, but not only do you get those skills, you also get your wisdom modifier to use those skills, which I instantly looked at and go, oh, in those builds where we're making things to break,
right?
Like, that's going to be key, adding another stat to those rolls.
Yeah, so if you go with the more knowledge as part of your order, you're going to get to pick 2 between history, religion, arcana, or nature. And then with those chosen skills, but beyond getting your intelligence modifier, you're also going to get your wisdom modifier on top of. So if you max both of those stats out, that's plus 16 once you get to 17th level.
Now, fortunately, unfortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, they're very specific skills. It's not any of the skills, right? So it's not like, I'm going to build the ultimate grappler. I'm going to make a barbarian. They're going to rage. They're going to get advantage. They're going to add their wisdom modifier. I'm going to pick up a level here, grab expertise. I'm going to grapple like no one's grappled before.
Nah, it's all all the smart skills, and it's not even all of them because you can't even add investigation in there. Though, who knows, perhaps somewhere down the line, there could be a holy order that's all about, investigative, and they could choose that knowledge one and choose, perception or survival or, investigation and, apply the same way.
Yeah. They also took the ability that the 8th level 5e ability that we generally don't like and moved it away from the subclasses directly into the main class.
I saw that and my heart grew 7 sizes. I was like, all right, the crappy ability that was only in subclasses at 8th level, they bumped down to 7th, and instead of picking one or the other, you get them both. I was like, oh man.
Just do extra radiant damage when you hurt things, right? It's just a cleric feature. When you hate something, your god hates it, and you do more damage, and it's not wasting, the more flavorful abilities, because it was always super lame.
Yeah.
Is it still kind of boring? Yes, but at least it's not taking away from something that could be interesting.
Right. And with the cleric subclass, originally there was a lot of abilities. I think they had more subclass abilities than most of the other classes. And that 8th level always seemed to just be like, well, we're going to dump crap in here. And
I didn't seem like it was. It was like either you're going to be better, you're going to get potent spellcaster, or you're going to get is it divine smite or
divine strike.
Divine strike, and and basically just did the same thing in different ways.
Yeah, but it wasn't interesting. It wasn't, no other class had a static ability or a static option.
There is literally no reason for it to be the subclass ability.
Correct.
So, I think that pretty much covers the basic cleric. It's a, I don't think there's a net gain or loss there. It feels very much cleric-y. You get the holy order is kind of cool, but with only 3 options, and you're going to get 2/3 of them.
Yeah, because you get a second option at 9th level.
Yeah.
You still have, so Divine Intervention, you're still going to get that. You get it at 11th as opposed to 10th, and then you're going to get the automatic success at 18th level. Everything that used to be your 20th level capstone ability has been pushed down lower. I think it's all supposed to be aiming at 18th level, and then 20th now you get this, epic boom.
That 18th level, you're right, it looks like that's going to be the capstone. Again, this is also a thing that's kind of been, it has shifted a little bit, from class to class, but they've kind of unified it, and everyone's going to get the lame epic boons at 20th level. Now, I'm just not impressed with it. I don't know why. That one, the epic boon feat just doesn't impress me, and they are not created equally at all.
No, and we'll talk about the epics in
the glossary
in our glossary video. So be on the lookout for that one. We're gonna break up this particular set of 1D&D playtest into 3 different videos so that we can kind of focus hardcore on different aspects.
So we get the life domain. I think the life domain is a net loss. Okay. As far as power. Like what's the opposite of power creep?
Power drain.
Power recession. I don't know. So like I feel like the healing of the Life Domain Cleric in 5e is much stronger than D&D 1. It stepped back. It's not like by a lot, but
yeah, you got the ability to like automatically max healing, much earlier, and with getting abilities at level 1, it definitely got to be scaled up. Whereas I think too many people took Life Domain. Yep. It was overbalanced or overpowered, underbalanced.
It was a bigger I think it was a bigger bonus that you got. Oh, you know what? There is one thing. Channel Divinity changed a lot. You get a lot more of them. You don't get them back on a short rest. It's a long rest. I mean, towards the end, you get more of them, depending on how many short rests you get. So, like, technically, I guess if you short rest a lot, you could have a lot of Channel Divinities. But now it's like you basically get to turn undead, or you get to heal. And, and the turn undead works a lot different now. It's like, oh, I'm just going to do a bunch of radiant damage if they fail their saving throw. Which is, I guess, is kind of cool. Like, I don't know how they're going to work, like, immunity per se. And also, like, the early on ability is kind of like the turn where it's frightened of you, can't come closer. And then later it upgrades to where in 5e, you have the ability to dust them. Well, now you just do a bunch of radiant damage to them instead.
Yeah, so if you're playing, a cleric in a very undead-heavy campaign, Turn Undead comes in very handy. But I've found with, most games, you don't get to use that anywhere near as much as, what I used to see in earlier games.
Yeah, so they've given you another use of it, with the, aside from being able, whatever your subclasses how they let you to I don't know. Aside from how the subclasses let you tap into your Channel Divinity, you now have two options: heal or heal or attack undead. And I feel like the turn undead ability will be much more useful at high levels when you're facing off against more powerful undead, and you'll just be able to use it to damage them.
So there's definitely the dial down. At 10th level, you're going to get Blessed Healer. So whenever you heal someone with a spell slot, you can also heal yourself. So like you do have the ability to kind of put some stuff out there.
So yeah, the suite of abilities Life Domain Cleric gets now in D&D 1 compared to 5e D&D, they're pretty much the same, which I just feel like the power level of the healing has been ratcheted down slightly, but it was really good before. So like I don't feel like they're losing a lot, and then they get the capstone ability for the subclass. They get it much sooner, and at Supreme Healing, where they just don't roll dice anymore, they just maximize their healing.
As long as you're using a spell slot.
Which
I'm pretty sure that it used to be, I'm healing you in some way, shape, or form, and you just roll max. So like, I pour a potion down your throat, you just get it. Now it's got to be if you're expending a spell slot.
And it wouldn't affect, if you're any other abilities that you have.
Yeah, if you're
features.
If you're using features, if you're using a magic item, you're reading a scroll.
Another class ability. So it seems like they're kind of trying to make, because we've done like Supreme Healer builds and stuff like that, and they're going, okay, they probably just look at all the YouTubers' different videos and be like, how can we keep them from breaking the game?
Well, I mean, there's always going to be people out there who...
We'll find new ways to break it, Wizards. We'll find new ways.
So, we just look at this, and it's like, well, it is dialed down. It is still, we're still looking at what classes are out there. We only have one cleric subclass to really look at and see, how things go.
So are you excited for the cleric in D&D 1? You're a big cleric
I'm a big cleric fan, and I have to say it hurts me to not have that subclass that I'm used to right there at level 1. And not because like I want to cherry pick subclasses, though I have done that, once or twice before. It is something that the concept of the Holy Order excites me, and gives it way to be able to say, well, with every church, you could then have an organization dedicated to the holy orders that are there. Yeah. So it gives the ability to add lore into your world, your game, with each religion. And that ties mechanic to lore and story, and that's what I'm most excited about.
But I feel like to a lesser degree they're doing with the Holy Order, though. So like, oh, it's a martial deity, you would pick the one that's more martial. If it's a knowledge deity, you'd pick the one that gives you more knowledge.
Yes, you could do that, but you know what happens? Like, all right, in our world, we have Quenthel's the god of knowledge. If you watched our games, I was a cleric of that. I was a knowledge domain. Obviously, I would go with the knowledge stuff. Give me the skills. But you could take that order or you could take that religion and have that dedicated. So there's one that is martial. You're going out and seeking knowledge to bring back to the order. There's magical, who investigates the mysteries and does the things, goes into places where magic exists to bring that knowledge back. And then you have the studious type who tends to study there and doesn't necessarily go out quite as much unless they have to. But that's like my immediate reaction of how I would take a knowledge order and create, or a knowledge religion and create 3 distinct orders within that. And then you could have like, the mace on top of a book, or you could have the reigning sun, with the book in the middle for the magic. And you could have all of these different iconography related to a particular deity and still cover all aspects of what is there mechanically.
Yeah, so I think it's a good tool for role playing and also world building. Even if you can't take the domain at first level, it kind of gives you like you've got a toe in that world.
It's a taste, so that regardless of what type of subclass you're going to go, something here is going to help you. And I felt it was I was very happy with their way of correcting that order, so you can still make the type of cleric you want without having to give you that subclass at first level.
And it also gives you an opportunity to do something more interesting with, like you said, just using the same example, the knowledge cleric. Like, this guy is wearing, heavy armor and using martial weapons. Why is that? That's so, like, you can use that for world building. So I hope they expand on the holy orders and do more with that, and we get more than 3.
Absolutely. You like this video, others like it, as well as all the great content you can find over at nerdarchy.com. Why not come check us out on Patreon and support us over there?
Articles like play your next 5e D&D game as a public domain cleric.
Another great way to help out Nerdarchy is to check out Nerdarchy the store and get some great products like Dark Paths Lightbound. The 5th edition content in this module continues our exploration down new, darker paths for adventurers to follow. Beginning down one of these dark paths leads to power, but at a perilous cost. Heroes of the Dark face insurmountable odds and face challenging decisions, whether it is worth the cost to fight against such forces by tapping into the same source of insidious influence as their terrible foes. What secrets will the blazing light of the Shimmer reveal? In this new scenario format, we're creating dynamic encounters you can drop into your game at any time. Not quite an adventure, and much more than a random encounter. These circumstances engage characters and players with components to construct their own unique story with guidance from the Game Master. Future modules connect together to form non-linear narrative tools for your group to create their own unique stories. In this scenario, something sinister takes hold of the local clergy. The absolute certainty of what is right and good holds as much potential evil as wickedness and embraces it, but whispers with a voice, validating what one already believes to be right. Adventurers become drawn into the drama through innocuous stay at an inn where a zealous priest seeks to bring the shimmering, searing light to non-believers. At some point during the stay, something happens. A zealous acolyte springs a carefully laid trap and turns pleasant dreams into indoctrinating nightmares. Included within is an adventure scenario for 4 7th level characters. The adventure scenario, Is It All a Dream? A new magic item, the Necklace of Tongues, the new primal path, Path of the Dreamwalker, and a villainous crossover, the Lord of Dead Dreams.
So let us know what you think of the latest installment of D&D 1. Are you excited for this cleric? Hate it? Love it? Let us know in the comments. Share your thoughts and ideas down below with the Nerdarchy community. What holy orders do you want to see?
While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, click on that notification bell. You know you want to.
Quick reminder, we drop new videos here several times a week, so come on back. Can't wait till then, no worries, we got you covered. Check out 5e D&D Feats, a Cleric's Guide.
So until next time, stay nerdy.